To welcome all of you to this meaningful occasion, let us first invite the Honorable Heraldo Muñoz, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Chile, to deliver his welcome remarks.
Madam President, dear colleagues, ministers that are signing the CPTPP, former presidents and members of Congress and elected authorities, welcome all to this historic event. I'd like to first and foremost express my deep appreciation to Her Excellency President Michelle Bachelet for leading this ceremony on International Women's Day and near the end of her successful term. On behalf of the government of Chile, we're deeply grateful and pleased for the presence today of the 10 ministers who have traveled across the Pacific to sign this important agreement in our country. After the United States withdrew from the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, the remaining signatories decided to discuss alternatives, convinced that together we could address the challenge of free trade and globalization with benefits for all. At that moment, precisely 1 year ago, I convened all of you ministers to a high-level dialogue on integration initiatives in the Asia-Pacific held at Viña del Mar on March 2017, where we, the 11 remaining members of the TPP, adopted the firm decision to continue with this economic integration project, conscious that the benefits and the new opportunities created by the TPP should not be lost. At that occasion, just as we're witnessing today, we reaffirm our commitment to oppose protectionism and to the free flow of goods, services, and investments, advancing regional economic integration, and strengthening the rules-based international trading system. It was from that moment onwards that we started the technical work in meetings in Canada, Australia, Vietnam, and Japan. We thank particularly Japan because it was a decisive moment to close this agreement, which, despite facing several challenges, allowed us, with a clear political will and a high sense of unity and solidarity, and an important dose of creativity, to reach a successful and balanced outcome that brings us here today. Ours is an agreement that will provide access to 500 million people, with a combined GDP worth of US 10 trillion, and representing almost 15% of global trade. In sum, one of the largest and the most comprehensive trade agreements to date in the world. The signing of the CPTPP is a milestone on this common path of further deepening regional economic integration. We are satisfied with the outcome of this deal. Yet, we must keep working to ensure that the benefits are shared with all our citizens. At times of rising protectionism, what we have achieved constitutes a significant political message to the Asia-Pacific region and to the rest of the world. It signals our decisive commitment to trade liberalization, regional integration, economic growth, and job creation. It signals our decisive commitment to comprehensive and progressive, and let me add, inclusive trade. So thank you very much all for being with us today on this very historic occasion. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Muñoz. I would now like to invite the Honorable Toshimitsu Motegi, Japan's Economic and Fiscal Policy Minister, to make a statement on behalf of all ministers. If you would like to come to the lectern, or you would prefer to stay seated. Perfect.
Thank you for that kind. Thank you very much. Thank you for the kind introduction, Mr. Munoz. Now, I'd like to read out the Ministerial Statement, which have been agreed among all the ministers in the ministerial meeting held early today. I quote, "Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership Ministerial Statement, Santiago, Chile, March 8, 2018. We, the ministers and senior officials representing Australia, Brunei Darussalam, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, and Vietnam are pleased to announce that today we are signing the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, hereinafter referred to as the Agreement. Ministers share the view that by achieving a high standard and well-balanced outcome, the agreement will strengthen the mutually beneficial linkage among our economies, boost trade, investment, and economic growth in the Asia-Pacific region, and create new opportunities for businesses, consumers, families, farmers, and workers. The agreement demonstrates our collective commitment to an effective, rule-based, and transparent trading system, which is open to all economies willing to accept these principles. The signing of the agreement enables us to move to the next phase. Ministers expressed their determination to complete their domestic processes to bring the agreement into force expeditiously. Ministers welcome the interest shown by a number of other economies wishing to accede to the agreement. This interest affirms our shared objectives through the agreement of creating a platform that promotes high standards for broader economic integration in the future. Ministers agree that the senior officials will start the necessary preparation for the smooth implementation of the agreement." End of quote. That was a ministerial statement, and I'd like to take this opportunity to make a brief remark of appreciation. First of all, on behalf of all the colleagues, let me thank President Bachelet, Minister Munoz, and all the Chilean officials here for hosting this signing ceremony. My appreciation also goes to my colleagues from New Zealand, led by Minister Parker, for their role as the depository. I'd also like to congratulate all the member countries present here today for having reached the stage of signature of this agreement very quickly, despite a number of difficult challenges. TPP 11 is a historic achievement which creates free and fair rules of the 21st century in the Asia-Pacific region. All the ministers agreed today to make utmost effort towards the expeditious entry into force and the smooth implementation of this agreement. On its part, Japan is prepared to continue to facilitate the communication and coordination among 11 countries. If all of us are successful, we could attract a number of countries and economies to this high standard and well-balanced agreement in the years ahead. Let us work hard to achieve it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. The legally verified text of the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP, was released by New Zealand as depository on February 21st, 2018. The texts that will be signed today are the English, French, and Spanish versions. The text is one agreement, and it is that agreement that I have the honor of inviting ministers to sign today. I now invite each minister to proceed to sign the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. The Honorable Stephen Chiobo, Minister for Trade and Investment, you have the honor of being the first. I invite you to please proceed to the signing area and take a seat to sign the agreement on behalf of Australia. I now invite the Honorable Dato Eriwan Pihin Yusuf, Second Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade, to sign the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership on behalf of Brunei Darussalam. I now invite the Honorable François Champagne, Minister of International Trade, to sign the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership on behalf of Canada. I now invite the Honorable Toshimitsu Motegi, Minister of State for Economic and Fiscal Policy, to sign the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership on behalf of Japan. I now invite the Honorable Dato Seri G. Jaja Siri, Secretary General of the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, to sign the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership on behalf of Malaysia. I now invite the Honorable Ildefonso Guajardo, Secretary of Economy, to sign the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership on behalf of Mexico. I now invite the Honorable David Parker, Minister of Trade, to sign the Comprehensive and Progressive Trans-Pacific Partnership on behalf of New Zealand. I now invite the Honorable Eduardo Ferreiros, Minister of Foreign Trade and Tourism, to sign the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership on behalf of the Republic of Peru. I now invite the Honorable Lim Han Kiang, Minister for Trade and Industry, to sign the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership on behalf of the Republic of Singapore. I now invite the Honorable Yang Ton An, Minister of Industry and Trade, to sign the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership on behalf of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam. Finally, I can now invite our host, Chile's Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Heraldo Muñoz, to sign the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership on behalf of the Republic of Chile. Thank you, Ministers. It is my great pleasure to announce that on March 8th at Santiago de Chile, the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership has been formally signed. Congratulations. Congratulations to all ministers, chief negotiators, and indeed their countries. To conclude the first part of the ceremony, please give a warm welcome to Her Excellency the President of the Republic of Chile, Michelle Bachelet, to deliver her remarks on this very special occasion.
Ex-President of the Republic of Chile, Mr. Eduardo Frei Tagle, Ex-President of the Republic of Chile, Mr. Ricardo Lagos Escobar, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Heraldo Muñoz, Ministers of the Republic of Chile, ladies and gentlemen, Ministers of Trade that form part of the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, international organization representatives, national authorities, dear friends. I will speak a couple of words in Spanish because of the media, but then I will come back to English. Amigas y amigos, es un honor poder acompañarlos hoy y ser testigo de una ceremonia que no solo constituye un hito para nuestra política exterior, sino que también consolida, tal como decía el ministro Muñoz, nuestro firme compromiso con la integración regional y el libre comercio en medio de un mundo cambiante y de crecientes tendencias proteccionistas. Durante nuestra administración hemos querido ampliar y profundizar nuestra extensa red de acuerdos comerciales en beneficio de nuestros compatriotas en un sentido cada vez más inclusivo. Y la firma del Tratado Integral y Progresista de Asociación Transpacífico, CPTPP, es un ejemplo más de ello. Un tratado ambicioso, moderno, con visión de futuro y que con creatividad incorpora las nuevas temáticas del comercio internacional que exigen que los beneficios de la globalización alcancen a todas y todos, integral y progresista, como debe ser la agenda comercial del siglo XXI. I will turn to English now. I'm very pleased to have witnessed this ceremony, which I see as a promising sign for open and balanced trade with clear rules. Globally, there has been an increasing level of uncertainty given the adoption of policies and measures by some key players that question the principles that have contributed to generating economic growth and prosperity for our people. Despite the rising protectionism trend, what you have collectively achieved today constitutes a clear message that we stand behind open markets and trade liberalization, which has been crucial to guarantee peace, stability, inclusiveness, and prosperity over the last 6 decades. Chile is a strategic partner in this course of action. We have a long-standing state policy of promoting greater economic integration, strategy that has allowed our country's small market of 18 million inhabitants competitive access to a variety of markets around the world. With 26 FTAs, with 64 economies, Chile has a reputation to uphold as a regional leader. During our administration, we championed the idea of convergence in diversity, looking for common interests rather than differences, particularly in the economic arena. In that context, the Pacific Alliance, that is Chile, Colombia, Mexico, and Peru, is developing joint trade initiatives with Mercosur, the other relevant South American trading bloc, and implementing a cooperation framework with ASEAN. But convergence in diversity is also true for the 11 CPTPP signatories here today, since we were able to overcome our differences and achieve an even better outcome than some imagined. The unity and solidarity shown among the 11 were key in building this new agreement. As Minister Muñoz reminded us earlier, Chile took the initiative to convene the high-level dialogue on integration initiatives among the trade ministers of the Asia-Pacific region to reflect on how to strengthen trade integration and how to renew our resistance to protectionism. As part of that event, we also convened a meeting with the Trans-Pacific Partnership signatories to exchange views on how to save the high standards, forward-looking content of the original TPP agreement after the withdrawal of the United States. Since then, the 11 have made clear their will to develop a process, quick but substantial, looking forward to reach an agreement that puts into effect the high standard principles and disciplines contained in the TPP. Ministers, chief negotiators, and their teams have faced extremely difficult challenges over these last months. It was not an easy task to recalibrate the balance reached in the original TPP, given the highly sensitive issues included in the negotiation. In the absence of the United States, a new balance had to be found, one where everyone feels, once again, that the agreement is meaningful, progressive, and beneficial for their respective economies. Let me take a moment to reflect on what CPTPP represents for our economies and why we labeled it as comprehensive and progressive. These notions have acquired a central role in the trade agenda, generating a positive impact on economic growth and the reduction of poverty. 21st century issues such as gender equality, corporate social responsibility, sustainable development, labor and human rights are included throughout the agreement and will have to be effectively implemented once it enters into force. We must show our citizens concrete deliverables proceeding from openness and free trade. For that, we need to stay in the course of globalization, yet learning from our past mistakes, and thus creating new institutions and mechanisms that will render globalization more effective, fairer, and more sustainable. The path towards deeper regional economic integration should be the chosen one, and we are certain that the CPTPP is aligned in that direction. Today, we can proudly conclude this process, sending a strong message to the international community that open markets, economic integration, and international cooperation are the best tools for creating economic opportunities, and prosperity. What we are announcing today is not only a remarkable outcome for our region, but for the world. Dear friends, it is extremely significant for us that this signing ceremony is taking place very close to the finalization of my term as president. Our government has permanently advocated for economic integration as an engine oriented towards increased prosperity, create more jobs, attract more investment and talent, encourage entrepreneurship and innovation, and ensure that all of our citizens will enjoy the benefits of free trade, leaving no one behind. Because today is 8th of March, I want to send a big hug to all the women here. Happy Women's Day. On behalf of Chile, I want to thank very much Minister Heraldo Muñoz for his leadership in this CPTPP, but also I want to thank Andrés Rebolledo and Paulina Nasal. Andrés started with the negotiations and Paulina was the second one. So I hope your wife and your husband will be mad if I say that you are like the parents by the Chilean side of the little baby that is going to be a big baby, the CPTPP. We're very happy. Thank you so much for coming here and having this, as the minister said, a historical moment. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Before we move to our ministerial press conference, Her Excellency President Bachelet will leave us now in order to attend other important commitments on the occasion of International Women's Day. Thank you once again, Madam President, for being here. Please stay in your seats. The ministerial press conference will start shortly. We will actually now begin the press conference. Before we start, our host, Minister Heraldo Muñoz, will briefly address the press. Minister, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. We are very pleased again about this historic moment, which is a political signal of integration and open trade with benefits for everyone. This is a signal that is very timely, because, as we know, there are protectionist pressures and pressures even to that could end up in what nobody wants, which is a trade war. I think we're opening doors, and that is, I think, a signal that will mean that more will join, as already several governments have contacted us to say that they want to join the CPTPP as soon as it is in force. So I don't have anything more to say except our mutual congratulations, to thank particularly Japan, the last lap where their strength allowed us to get to the goal, and to thank Canada, to thank everyone on this table, because everyone put their best efforts to achieve this this important agreement. So I don't have anything else to say. It is up to the journalists if they want to ask questions. I leave it up to you.
Yes, we will now move into the question and answer session. May I request to the media outlets that register questions to come to the microphones. They're here on this aisle. Please, when asking your question, state clearly your name, country, and media outlet, and please say which minister it is directed to, the question. And of course, given time is short, please try to be brief and to the point, and I will move proceedings along if necessary.
Hello, my name is Constanza Morales. I'm from the Chilean newspaper La Tercera, and I have 2 questions for all the ministers here. The first one, when do you plan to introduce the bill to your Congress or Parliament? And second one, do you expect the agreement to come into force this year? Thank you.
Yeah, let me start with Mexico. We'll have a legislative period that will end on April 30th, and the President of Mexico will submit the instrument to our Senate. The President of the Commission of Industry and Commerce is here with us today, Senator Larios, and it will be up to the Senate when they will take it for discussions, but the Executive will send it immediately.
Well, in the case of Chile, we have a new Congress, but my feeling is that since 20 norms were left aside from the original TPP, I think that may make easier the approval in the Chilean Congress. All trade agreements have been approved in our Chilean Congress, so not one ever has been rejected. So I don't have anything else to say except that it will be sent to Congress and Congress will discuss it, and our hope would be that it may be enforced depending on the other countries' procedures by the end of the year. That would be, I think, a good signal. And I think we discussed it privately. It can be done.
It will be interested maybe to know the position of Japan on this regard.
Since there are so many Japanese media here, so let me speak in Japanese. TPP11 は6カ国が国内手続きを完了させた60日後に発行することになるわけであります。TPP11 の早期実現は11カ国で一致した目標であります。先ほど発表させていただいた閣僚声明でも、早期発行に向けて各国が全力で取り組むことが確認をされております。日本としては速やかに TPP 協定や関連国内法を国会に提出し、承認を求めていきます。日本が率先して動くことで、早期発行に向けた機運も高めていきたい、このように考えております。また、日本としてですね、TPP11 の早期発行と円滑な実施に向けて、これまで同様にですね、各国との連絡調整など、必要な事務局的な機能も果たしていきたい、このように考えております。Thank you.
If any other minister would like to reply to the question posed.
Well, let me say first that this is a great day for open, principled, and rule-based trade in the world. I think that's the first thing we should celebrate today. With respect to Canada, in that regard, we will proceed expeditiously. We think this is we have already started the process in our domestic process to bring it to Parliament. We will respect, obviously, the parliamentary process, but I can assure all my colleagues, and I think you'll hear a common voice, that everyone wants to proceed expeditiously to bring the benefit of trade to the people as soon as possible.
Yes, please.
Put forward Australia's point of view. In terms of introductory remarks, this is a very good day for trade. We are sending a mutual signal that we recognise the policy orthodoxy of trade. Trade is good for economic growth, trade is good for jobs, trade is good for promoting prosperity. From Australia's perspective, our domestic processes will commence with the introduction of legislation to the Parliament later this month. We then have our Joint Standing Committee on Treaties, which will undertake a full public inquiry into this. But I would envisage and anticipate that Australia should be in a position to have that domestic ratification process completed by around about the end of the third quarter of this year. And we remain hopeful, like others, that we'll see the CPTPP come into effect by the end of the year or shortly thereafter.
Please.
Thank you. For New Zealand, we believe that CPTPP has become more important over the last year as protectionism has been on the rise in a number of parts of the world. Our processes at home start immediately. We've already prepared a national interest analysis which passes to the Parliament immediately, and that plus other laws that are required to be passed to implement CPTPP are expected to pass, because we do believe it to be a comprehensive and progressive agreement which aids fair, open and principled trade. It's easier to find public support for in New Zealand because it includes strong provisions protecting the ability of governments to regulate for the benefit of the environment, whether it's phasing out subsidies for illegal fishing that still occur in some parts of the world, or regulation to help climate change, or labour regulation. There are very strong rules in this, in addition to the open trading arrangements which reduce tariffs and non-tariff barriers in a way that will lift all of our economies. So we expect that process to be finished in New Zealand by the end of the year, and it could be a bit earlier, but we're confident that it will pass.
Please.
Yeah, thank you. Well, in the name of Peru, we are very happy of this agreement. I think it's the most modern and comprehensive agreement actually in the world. The process in Peru is as follows. Our constitution defines two kinds of treaties. Executive treaties that are entered into force with the signature of the President, and agreements that has to go to Congress for approval. Who decides which kind of agreement is this? Is the division of treaties of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So the next step for Peru is sending this agreement to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for evaluation, and it will be on Congress or just an executive agreement. And yes, I hope and believe that this agreement enter into force this year.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say that today we are very happy with the signature of the CPTPP, because all the country made a very great effort to have the consensus on the comprehensive and progressive agreement for transparency. And we agree with Minister of Chile that it is a really very strong message for the free trade, and also to the benefit of all the people of our country, and to fight against the trade protectionism. And we think that for Vietnam, we try also our best to present as soon as we finish the preparation of the document of the agreement. But perhaps by end of the year, for the session of the National Assembly, government will present to the National Assembly for its consideration and approval. And we strongly believe that we will meet with the demand and the suggestion by Minister of CPTPP to make the agreement coming into force earlier next year. Thank you.
Any other minister who would like to respond to the question? Yes, Malaysia, please.
Well, for those who are interested, Malaysia would also try to be ratifying this as soon as possible. But we do have a domestic process that we have to undergo. We have a number of amendments to legislations that we have to undertake first before we can ratify this agreement. And it depends on how Parliament can accommodate the amendments that we send to Parliament. That will decide when we will be able to ratify this agreement. I can't for now say a time frame that we envisaging, but I think we should be able to do that sometime early next year.
In the case of Singapore, we need the approval of our cabinet to ratify the agreement, and then we need to go to Parliament to make amendments to existing legislation in order to meet our obligations. So we expect to be able to complete the domestic process expeditiously.
Thank you. And last but not least, Brunei.
Thank you. Well, from the statement we have heard, I think the signing of this CPTPP is a historic one, and all of us, including Brunei, aim to complete our ratification process expeditiously and as soon as possible. Our system, I think, differs, but it's very similar to Singapore and also Malaysia, in the sense that upon the signing, we have to circulate to the ministries so that they can identify any changes that is needed for legislation or policies. And upon the drafting or introduction of new legislation policies, this will then recirculate to all the ministries before it gets the final cabinet approval. Once that is done, then ratification will be done immediately. So that's.
Thank you, Minister. We'll move to the next question.
First of all, congratulations for signing CPTPP. This is TV Asahi. I have a question mainly for Mr. Chairman, Mr. Munoz, and the former Chairman, Mr. Tuan Anh from Vietnam. And CPTPP took only 1 year, or less than 1 year, to make an agreement. That is surprisingly short compared with original TPP negotiation. What was the main reason of that? And also, are there any countries which played a outstanding role of that? Thank you.
Well, I think the answer to that is not that hard. First, there had been a lot of work of many years in order to elaborate the original TPP. Second, we did not touch access to markets, because that would have meant a full renegotiation, and that would have taken years. So we concentrated on recalibrating the agreement. And that required political will, and I think the fact that we saw a protectionist climate was an additional stimulus to move on, and to do it even though what had been a major partner as the United States was not present. We thought that it was worth going ahead because these 11 countries represent 500 million and $10 trillion in terms of economic weight, and that it would be the most progressive, most advanced agreement. So I think that was made it possible to do in 1 year. If we had started from zero, no, it would have taken much longer, but a lot of work had been done well before, and it was a matter of recalibrating, and that all our interests were reflected in that work. I think political will was the additional factor.
Minister Yang Tong An.
Yes, I think that the remark and also information provided by the Minister of Chile is also very useful for all of you to understand better about the CPTPP, and especially for the speed, very fast speed of the talk on the CPTPP. But I just want to make some more remarks. First, you know that after U.S. withdrawal from the TPP 12, on other 11 member countries of CPTPP agreed to continue our talk and in remaining on the requirement on the quality agreement on the that we already achieved in the TPP 12. And you know that among the thing we benefit we have from the TPP 12, every other country agree in the principle do not negotiate about the market access. And this is the most important because in fact every negotiation for the new agreement it is always about market access for the all-member country. So that's why I think one among the reasons we can just accelerate and to make the CPTPP finish within 1 year, it is this reason. Secondly, I think after the U.S. to withdraw from the TPP, every other 11 member country understand that they still need this agreement, and they made a lot of effort to have the new balance point for each country. And in the effort of every country, the Minister of CPTPP very appreciated the role and the leadership by the Minister Motegi from Japan for the joint effort of every country, especially when in Da Nang by end of that year, last year, 2017. The effort by Motegi-san and other ministers of TPP 11 will make a very strong foundation for the continuous talk on TPP just recent month that we have today the ceremony of signing. So that we think every minister of CPTPP are very happy with this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we have a little bit comment from Mr. Motegi?
I'm sorry. We have a long list of reporters.
Yeah, I'm Daisuke Konishi of Kyodo News of Japan. My question is for all the ministers. What do you think about the possible return of the United States to the TPP? Would your country accept renegotiation if the President Trump demands it? Thank you.
Excuse me, can you say again the country and media outlet and the name, because
I would like to ask all the ministers. Excuse me, Kyodo News of Japan. My name is Daisuke Konishi.
Thank you very much.
He's from Japan, so
Sure.
let me answer the question.
Absolutely.
In Japanese. トランプ大統領をはじめですね、米国の最近のいくつかの発言が、この TPP の意義や効果について正しく評価するものであれば、我々として歓迎をしたいと思っております。日本としては、アジア太平洋におけるハイスタンダードな貿易投資の枠組みの早期確立を図る観点から、まずは TPP11 の早期発効に全力を挙げたいと思っております。米国については、最もグローバル化や技術革新が進んでいるのが米国であることから、TPP が米国の経済や雇用にとってもプラスになるものであることを引き続きしっかりと訴えていきたいと思っております。その上で TPP 協定はハイスタンダードな協定であると同時に、3カ国のさまざまな利害関係をですね、綿密に調整して作り上げた、いわばガラス細工のような協定でありまして、一部のみを取り出して再交渉する、変えることは極めて困難であると考えておりますが、機会を見て米国側の話も聞いてみたいと思っております。
Thank you. Any other minister who would like to answer the question about whether the U.S. or you think that the U.S. may come back to this agreement? Okay.
Juan Pablo Monsalve, de NTN 24. Mi pregunta es para el canciller Heraldo Muñoz y para el ministro Ferreiros de Perú. Preguntarles cómo reciben ustedes el apoyo y respaldo que ha dado China a la firma de este acuerdo y también qué papel puede jugar China en la consolidación de este acuerdo. Gracias.
No sé si en español o en inglés. Yeah, all right, in English. My feeling first. Let me refer because it was still going around the U.S. Reaction. I think that Minister Motegi said it very well. This will be open to anyone that accepts its components. And it's not an agreement against anyone. It's in favor of open trade. So that when you ask about China, I recall conversations with the Chinese colleagues where they said that they weren't ready for the original TPP, but they asked a lot of questions when we were negotiating the original TPP. And I recall a conversation that I had where a high official told me, we're going in that road, but we're not ready right now to join the TPP. So that hopefully China would look at this with interest in the future. Certainly Chile will be interested in not only in making the CPTPP be enforced as soon as possible, but also joining other efforts that are being made, where several of those on the table participate. The RCEP, for example. It's a very interesting effort that involves many of the countries that are at the table. And if that were to be finalized, Chile would like access to that because we need all the opportunities for increasing trade, for increasing employment. So we feel that China has given a very good signal in recent times by favoring open trade and opposing protectionism, and that I think leaves us with a great deal of hope that we're going to meet with China at some point down the road.
Are you okay with the English version of the answer? ¿Está bien que haya sido en inglés la respuesta? ¿Sí? Ministro Ferreiros, por favor.
Yes. When the TPP was launched in 2008 in Lima, based on the already existing agreement, the P4, 4 countries joined the agreement. We were 8 by that time. The idea was to invite all APEC economies to join the agreement, but an agreement of very high standards. All the countries were invited, all the countries are invited, and we will be happy to have more countries in this agreement if they are ready to reach and be part of this agreement of high standards. Just to finish, I just want to thank and recognize all the vice ministers, the chief negotiators, the technical teams of the negotiation, because of your job, this is happening today. Thank you very much to you all that are here today. Thank you.
Muy buenas tardes. Soy periodista de televisión japonesa de NHK. Me gustaría preguntar a todos los ministros. Dentro de poco, dicen, Estados Unidos va a anunciar la elevación de las aranceles al acero y aluminio. Me gustaría preguntar, ¿cuáles serán sus posiciones y si imponen en realidad qué tipo de contramedidas van a tomar? Muchas gracias.
Since last week, there was an announcement and then a tweet about this possibility. Mexico was very clear. We never act before real things happen. I think we have learned through the last year that reacting before realities is not exactly in the best interest of countries. So there is a speculation that today we may have an announcement. And on behalf of Mexico, we have made it very clear. I was in Washington last week myself. I had a very productive meeting with Wilbur Ross and Ambassador Lighthizer. And I expressed Mexico's position that if Mexico is not excluded from this tariff imposition, we will act accordingly. And we will definitely defend our rights and retaliate.
Gracias, Secretario Guajardo.
Yes, you know, since, just like the Minister of Mexico said, since we heard of the U.S. administration a few days ago talking about tariffs or quota with respect to steel and aluminum, Canada has been very clear that this would be unacceptable. We have to take note, and in fact, the United States has a steel surplus of about $2 billion with Canada. So in fact, the United States has a surplus with Canada when it comes of trading steel. We certainly see Canada as an ally, a partner and friend of the United States, so any suggestions with respect to national security is misplaced, obviously, when you are a partner in NATO and NORAD and allies in all fronts with the United States. We are continuing, and we have been seeking an exemption, and our Minister of Foreign Affairs has been clear as well in looking at all measures that would be appropriate. But as my colleague from Mexico said, let's wait until we see actually what is announced. But certainly we will always, always stand firm in defending Canadian workers, Canadian industry, and we will do that in a smart way.
Thank you, Minister Champagne. That's it? All right.
Mi pregunta es para el canciller Muñoz. China lleva 5 años consecutivos siendo el primer socio comercial de Chile. ¿Considera que esta situación va a cambiar después de la firma del CPTPP, ya que el 17% de las exportaciones de Chile va a los países CPTPP y el 12% de las importaciones proviene de los países CPTPP? Y prefiero que conteste en español. Muchas gracias.
Muy bien. Efectivamente, China es el primer socio comercial de Chile. Tenemos un comercio bilateral de alrededor de 34.000 millones de dólares. Pero yo esperaría que con el CPTPP incrementemos el comercio con todos nuestros socios que están en esta mesa, sin perjuicio de que siga creciendo el comercio con China. Esto no es un juego de suma cero. No es que uno diga voy a crecer con China y lo hago a expensas de crecer mi comercio con otros países. No, es un juego de suma variable, como podría decirse, donde se puede ganar conjuntamente. Y creemos que esta es una win-win situation, donde podemos incrementar el comercio y la inversión entre nuestros países en bienes y servicios, y aquí tenemos estándares muy altos, sin perjuicio de que siga creciendo nuestro comercio. Lo que sí queremos es agregar más valor a nuestras exportaciones, agregar más conocimiento, no simplemente exportar cobre, sino que exportar manufacturas y exportar alimentos, como lo estamos haciendo. Una parte muy importante de nuestras exportaciones a China ahora son productos que tienen valor agregado. Así que esperamos crecer, seguir creciendo con China y seguir creciendo con nuestros socios que están en esta mesa.
Gracias, canciller. La siguiente pregunta. Next question.
Buenas tardes, Rafael Pardo de Radio Cooperativa de Chile. La pregunta, me han pedido algunos periodistas de Perú y de México que les solicite que por favor sea en español. La pregunta es para el canciller de Chile, Heraldo Muñoz, y también para los representantes de Perú y de México. En concreto apunta a de qué manera podrían ustedes aterrizar qué va a ganar el ciudadano común a mediano o largo plazo a raíz de este acuerdo que están firmando hoy. ¿Cómo se lo podrían explicar precisamente a un habitante de Santiago, de Lima, de Ciudad de México? Gracias.
Gracias, Rafael.
Bueno, respondo primero como dueño de casa. Yo creo que cualquier acuerdo de libre comercio, especialmente este acuerdo de libre comercio, que tiene altos estándares, que tiene consideraciones especiales relativas a género, a medio ambiente, a derechos laborales, apunta justamente a que el beneficio sea para todas y todos. Es decir, que no sea simplemente una ganancia para las grandes compañías multinacionales, sino que también para las pequeñas y medianas empresas, donde hay un acento especial en este acuerdo. ¿Y qué significa al final? Significa crecimiento económico inclusivo, donde todos puedan aprovechar las oportunidades de generación de empleo de calidad. De modo que en un momento en que hay amenazas proteccionistas como las que conocemos, nos parece que esto a la persona de la calle le va a significar la posibilidad de que el país crezca más, exporte más y por lo tanto las empresas contraten más empleados, les paguen mejor y en definitiva haya un progreso y que esto no sea a costa del medio ambiente o a costa de otros valores importantes para nuestras sociedades. Y eso creo que es algo que está cuidadosamente incluido en este acuerdo.
En el caso de México es muy sencillo. Si usamos las estadísticas de los latinobarómetros de opinión pública, en la sociedad mexicana el libre comercio tiene un respaldo mayoritario. Casi entre 2/3 partes, 60%, 70% de los mexicanos están a favor del libre comercio. Pero eso es porque la decisión que México tomó hace 20 años de integrarse a la comunidad global desde el primer Tratado de Libre Comercio de América del Norte y en 22 años de acción, la economía mexicana se ha transformado. Y hoy el ciudadano está conectado en buena medida a las ganancias de la integración global. Somos el primer exportador de aguacate en el mundo, entonces hay una serie de agricultores contentos porque en la noche de Super Bowl se venden 95 millones de piezas de aguacate para hacer guacamoles en esa noche. Somos los principales exportadores de cerveza en el mundo, los cuartos exportadores de automóviles. Entonces hay 1 millón de mexicanos que dependen en el sector automotriz de la industria. Entonces no es solo el hecho de que hoy hay mejores estándares, pero es el hecho de que a través de 20 años también hemos logrado mejores instrumentos. Sin duda nuestros países siguen enfrentando dilemas de desarrollo, pero hay que entender que la política comercial no es el único instrumento. Hay que tener políticas públicas que lo hagan la distribución eficiente e incluyente. Pero además, este nuevo modelo de acuerdo, como el TPP, abre la puerta que hace 22 años no era común, a las pequeñas y medianas empresas, a los emprendedores, a los millennials que están tratando de integrar y abrir nuevas puertas a nivel internacional. Ahí está el secreto de poder lograr el apoyo público y popular a estas iniciativas. No cometamos el error de no defenderlos dentro de los paquetes de políticas públicas, porque si no sabemos lo que ocurre cuando un país no adecúa su estrategia a la apertura. Parece que después podríamos dudar de la misma y lograr que las fuerzas aislacionistas venzan los beneficios de la apertura. Así es que este CPTPP para México agrega un elemento más, que es la inclusión de los derechos laborales y ambientales dentro del acuerdo. Y eso quiere decir que claramente, si somos grandes exportadores de tomate, el beneficio no es solo para el dueño de la empresa, sino para el trabajador que tiene que garantizar sus derechos y su derecho a un salario digno dentro de estos procesos.
Muchas gracias, secretario Guajardo. Ministro Ferreiros.
Sí, el Perú ha pasado por un proceso similar al que ha pasado Chile y México de integración a la economía global. Tenemos más de 20 tratados de libre comercio. El resultado de esa política ha sido que el Perú ha venido creciendo sostenidamente en los últimos 18 años y ha reducido significativamente la pobreza. Y gran parte de ese camino ha sido gracias a la política comercial que ha emprendido el Perú. Una política comercial que no beneficia solamente a las grandes empresas, sino beneficia a los agricultores, a las pequeñas empresas, y en particular este acuerdo tiene provisiones directas para la pequeña empresa, plataformas donde se van a poner las oportunidades de cómo exportar a los distintos países para poder integrar las pequeñas empresas a las cadenas globales de valor. Yo estoy seguro que este gran acuerdo va a traer beneficios a los grandes, medianos, pequeños exportadores, y como resultado de eso, del crecimiento económico que eso genera, el resultado y el bienestar para todos los peruanos.
La siguiente pregunta, por favor.
Hola, muy buenas tardes. Gwendolyn Ledger, de Revista América Economía de Chile. Mi pregunta es para el canciller Muñoz, para el canciller de Australia y el ministro de Vietnam. Es bastante en sintonía con las consultas anteriores, tiene que ver con las organizaciones ciudadanas y ambientales que han expresado más de una vez su disconformidad o al menos la preocupación con respecto a los tratados y cómo van a solucionarse a futuro controversias, el arbitraje de diferencias con el ISDS o el tema de los fármacos, de las semillas, el ámbito laboral y de medio ambiente. Eso es básicamente cómo se tranquiliza a ese sector de la población que se ha manifestado al menos preocupado por esos ámbitos. Muchas gracias.
Shall we start with Canciller Muñoz? Yes.
Muy bien, en español, en inglés. No sé. Okay. Bueno, creemos que en el acuerdo se produjo un equilibrio importante para dejar de lado por ahora algunas disposiciones que creíamos que cada país deseaba dejar de lado, en la medida que Estados Unidos no estaba presente y Estados Unidos había empujado alguna de esas disposiciones en el acuerdo original. En el caso de Chile, francamente no teníamos problema con el acuerdo original del TPP, porque respondía bien a nuestros compromisos ya asumidos en otros acuerdos de libre comercio, incluyendo con Estados Unidos en nuestro TLC bilateral. Pero se removieron algunas disposiciones como relativa a los fármacos biológicos, relativa a algunos componentes de solución de controversias y por lo tanto creo que este acuerdo es mucho más progresista, como dice su título, y esperamos que la sociedad civil lo reciba positivamente. Siempre habrá quienes se opondrán a los acuerdos de libre comercio por una cuestión ya más ideológico-estructural. Y en democracia hay que aceptar eso. Pero en democracia se vota y para eso están los congresos. Negocian los ejecutivos y en definitiva un parlamento aprueba o no aprueba un determinado acuerdo. y creemos haber hecho un CPTPP balanceado y que responde a las necesidades de toda la sociedad. Y por eso que, como lo han dicho ya algunos de mis colegas y lo dije yo, aquí que se van a beneficiar porque hay un capítulo específico para las empresas pequeñas y medianas, para que también las mujeres emprendedoras tengan acceso al crédito, acceso al marketing, acceso a las posibilidades de exportar a estos países y crecer en sus empresas. Y Chile tiene algunos programas, incluyendo uno que se llama Mujer Exporta, que está orientado justamente a apoyar a las mujeres que tienen pequeñas empresas y que van creciendo y que ahora están exportando a diversos países del mundo. Así que yo espero que la sociedad civil que tenía dudas tenga menos dudas ahora al leer este acuerdo, y si no, opera la democracia como corresponde por lo menos en Chile.
Minister Chiobo, please.
Well, thank you very much for your question. I'll stick to English. That'll be a little easier for me. Otherwise, the only reply you'll have will be hola. Can I say, look, I think many of the concerns that are outlined from time to time by elements, not all, by elements in civil society are driven, frankly, by misunderstandings or occasionally deliberate misrepresentation. I've observed in Australia contributions that have been made which unfortunately I think do attempt to deliberately distort the impact of agreements like the TPP, to suggest that, for example, we will see the sacrifice of public policy to multinational corporation profits as one example, and you often see this expressed when people outline reservations around ISDS, to cite but one example. Those expressions of concern typically are not in any way aligned with facts. And so part of the advocacy that I undertake is to ensure that we outline in a very straightforward and clear way the actual facts in relation to a multitude of different issues that are raised from time to time, including, for example, on ISDS. With respect to this agreement, it is, as the name says, a comprehensive and progressive Trans-Pacific partnership. The inclusion, and you asked specifically about the environment, the inclusion of the environmental chapter to promote mutual work between all 11 parties to help protect the environment, recognising that in fact many of those sitting at the table represent what you would call mega-diverse countries in terms of their environments, and Australia clearly is one of those, I think is a credit to all of us working to achieve sustainable trade. There is a role for trade to play to ensure more sustainability. There is a role for agreements like this to play to ensure we work constructively together through the application and recognition of domestic environmental laws on issues like, for example, illegal fishing or maritime pollution. So I'm pleased that we see the incorporation of these elements. This is a good agreement that benefits trade. It's a good agreement that benefits the environment as well. And it's a good agreement because it actually achieves the appropriate balance between both measures. And I'm confident that as each of us continues to play our role as advocates in this space, as we reduce confusion or deliberate misrepresentation about elements of this agreement, that people will come to see this agreement as being a very positive instrument that we can all use to ensure a more sustainable future and a richer future that's been benefited by increased trade investment.
Minister Yanton, and the question was also addressed to you.
Yes, thank you for the question. And for Vietnam, I would like just to inform you, to let you know that this is the maybe number 14 FTA that we calculated with our partner over the world. And you know that the proposal of the FTA for Vietnam it is not only to have the access to the market in the worldwide, but we also want to have the sustainable development of the country, especially for the people and to benefit all the people. So that's why one among the topic every country for CPTPP in talk with us, it is also to talk about to find a way, the mean to assure to the workers a good environment, etc. And for us, we have also worked very constructively with our counterpart, and we have agreed in consensus every provision, including also the one for the environment protection as well as for the labor conditions. And we have also the plan to, as I just mentioned recently to you, that government will present soon the plan of action to the National Assembly for approval of the agreement. And of course, in this plan of action, we have the thing to do, as for example, to make the adjustment and to change the law and also the legal framework of the country to match with the demand of the CPTPP agreement as well as the other FTA that Vietnam participated. So I think this is very clearly mentioned by Vietnam in joining with CPTPP. Thank you.
Canada asked for the floor too.
I know you didn't ask me that question, but I'm quite happy to answer when it comes to progressive elements in trade agreement. Let's recognize that the trade is not a race to the bottom. I think it's a march to the top. And I think that's what you realize from the minister around this table. I think our government, our respective government, I can think for the government of Canada, the Canadians have given us an ambitious mandate to do trade agreement, but certainly not at the expense of the environment nor labor rights, obviously. And that's why I think we need to celebrate what we've achieved in this CPTPP. As the minister said, the title is quite meaningful in that respect for the comprehensive and the progressive element. For example, if you look at the labor and the environmental section, this is the first time in the world that you have a trade agreement which includes paragraphs with respect to the environment and labor which are fully enforceable. If you look at, for example, the small and medium-sized enterprise chapter, this is the first agreement in the world which includes a chapter on small and medium-sized businesses. If you look at the provision of the governments retaining the right to regulate in their citizens' best interest, this is enshrined in this agreement. So I think when you look at that, we have achieved together. This is a much better agreement, which in a way, and in many ways, I think, mark a departure from what was used to be done in terms of trade to what trade needs to be in the 21st century. And I think when you look at these elements and you talk to citizens and stakeholders, you would realize that we have achieved a great deal and that we are committed, each and every one of us, to continue to add progressive elements to make sure that trade is real for people. And that really relates to people. And I know my colleagues are smiling because I keep repeating that. Trade real for people is what we stand for.
Thank you.
Buenas tardes, soy Denise Vázquez de Diario Financiero de Chile. Mi pregunta es para el canciller Muñoz. Canciller, Colombia es el único país de la Alianza del Pacífico que no forma parte del CPTPP. ¿Hay posibilidades de que se incorpore próximamente para así lograr afianzar las sinergias que podrían obtenerse entre los dos bloques?
Bueno, efectivamente, el propio presidente Santos ha manifestado su interés en que Colombia sea parte del CPTPP tan pronto entre en vigor. Así que creo que como Colombia pueden haber otros países, y hay otros países que han manifestado interés en unirse al CPTPP. Así que para Chile sería un agrado ver a Colombia acceder a este tratado en su momento, tan pronto entra en vigor, una vez que 6 de los 11 países lo hayan ratificado. De modo que esperaríamos a Colombia con brazos abiertos desde el punto de vista de Chile.
Gracias. Tenemos una última pregunta.
Good afternoon. My name is Francisco Gula. I'm a reporter for Pulso, a Chilean newspaper in Chile. In a couple of minutes, the President of the United States, Donald Trump, would order tariffs on aluminum and steel imports, initiating a so trade war, while all of you are signing the CPTPP. Mr. Munoz, what read do you do about this agreement and the intentions of Mr. Trump, who actually decided to leave the CPTPP?
Well, Mr. Trump decided to leave the TPP, not the CPTPP.
Right. That's it.
Second, I think that the question about the tariffs has been very well answered by my colleagues from Mexico and Canada already. So that every country makes the sovereign decisions that it deems fit. We feel that the United States may understand that we have common interests, these 11 countries, and that once the fruits of this agreement are made evident, he may change his mind, who knows. But this is up to the United States. President Trump has said that he prefers bilateral agreements, but we believe that there is much more into simply adding bilateral agreements. There is, in this multilateral agreement, chains of value being created that are fundamental for our country, so that we're very pleased and we respect whatever reaction or position the United States takes, as the United States should respect what we as sovereign countries decided to do, which was to go ahead with an agreement that we thought was of high standards and probably the best quality standards in the world that we're signing.
You respect, but you don't agree? You respect, but you don't agree?
Well, no, I say that everybody has the right to agree or not agree. If the United States withdrew from the TPP, it's because it thought that it wasn't the agreement that the United States government wanted. And that is a decision that is sovereign. And it is as sovereign as the decision that we made to continue ahead and finish by signing this agreement.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you. I'm told there was one more question, so go ahead with the final question.
Hi, Laura Millán from Bloomberg News. My question's for Ministers Guajardo and Champagne on tariffs again. So what will your countries do? What will be your response if your respective countries are not exempted from the tariffs? And Minister Guajardo specifically has talked about retaliation. Could you be a bit more specific than that?
Let me go first. Again, it is very simple. The world has been facing a problem of overproduction, overcapacity on steel production. That's the real problem. That's why Europe, Japan, Mexico, Canada, the US had integrated a Steel Global Forum at the OECD. Now, I can understand that you get frustrated because we have been working for a couple of years trying to convince overproducers of steel to restrain their capacities in order to do not overflow the world with excess capacity of steel. Now, how you respond to that is very important. You have the sovereign right to target those countries. Now, you can do it different ways. You can go with precise targets, or you can go hitting everybody. The solution is not hitting everybody. The solution is going precisely where the overcapacity problem is. Now, just like my colleague from Canada has explained, Mexico, the United States, and Canada have a very highly integrated steel industry. And Mexico is as well deficitary in steel. We buy more than we sell to the U.S. Together, Canada and Mexico, we buy 80% of the U.S. steel products. So targeting your neighbors is like shooting yourself on the foot. Therefore, that's why Mexico is basically asking for exclusion. Otherwise, we will not eliminate any option to do whatever we have to do to protect our economy and our country.
So in the interest of time, let me be both brief and specific. Canada will take appropriate measures. And with that, we'll leave it there. And I think that concludes our press conference today. So thank you, everyone, for being with us.
You can come here to a lecture.
Thank you.
Well, indeed,
again.
Minister Champagne was right. It is now time to bring the press conference to a close. Thank you to the ministers and the media for their active engagement. And now, to finalize the ceremony, I would like to invite all ministers for one final family photo, holding the signed comprehensive and progressive agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. Please take your positions at the stage.
Okay. Well, let me just say that open trade is alive, right? Thanks.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Please, the cell phones down, because maybe we can take turns. All the cell phones down, please, for the official photographers and cameramen to take. Señor, please, sir, can you tell him to? Excuse me, sir. Thank you, appreciate it. Then we're going to have 30 seconds for the unofficial cell phone pictures, I hope. If you could raise your hands. Is the press okay now? Now cell phones. No selfies.